This is Manchester United we're talking about.
This is Man United we're talking about.
This is Manchester 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 United we're talking about.
Oh, this is Manchester United we're talking about.
It's Manchester United we're talking about. Manchester United we're talking about here.
This is Manchester United we're talking about.
This is Manchester United we're talking about.
This is Manchester United we're talking about.
I mean, this is Manchester United we're talking about.
This is Manchester United we're talking about.
This is Manchester United we're talking about.
It's Man United we're talking about. It's Man United we're talking about. It's Man United we're talking about. It's Manchester United we're talking about.
It's Man United we're talking about.
This is Man United we're talking about.
It's Manchester United we're talking about.
We're talking about Manchester United.
Yes, people, did you figure out who we're talking about today? Yeah, as always, Manchester United on the news. Big up if you just joined through. Make sure you smash the likes. Subscribing is free as well. You know, you can see when I drop some news and talk rubbish, basically. If you haven't seen, Vlahovic again is on the agenda. Free transfer, anyone? Free transfer? Yeah, his contract's actually going to go get terminated. So, and I'm going to guess that United might be interested with this guy who's pretty much the final form of Højlund. I don't see anything great about him. His hype died years ago for Fiorentina. He was once good, but maybe it's a market opportunity that we've been looking for and waiting for, you know? Runs channels, strong, but with one of the worst touches I've seen known to man. Here we are. We'll talk about it. Rashford's actually returned to training as well. And we spoke a little bit last night, and all this outrage that he's at training is, again, beyond. I mean, I've got an unpopular opinion once again. I said it in a video. You know, you need someone that's going to run in behind. You need someone that's going to strike the ball well. Need someone that's going to have a bit of decent link-up play. But then you're linked with players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's like, oh, is this our options? Funny old game, isn't it? We love those options. We love the ones that said they want to leave the club, get their numbers stripped, but you know, wouldn't mind taking them back. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, if anyone's seen all these training videos, you know, Amorim's clearly got a new player demand. And you know what? Thank the Lord for that. When you're seeing Luke Shaw trim before pre-season even started, you know that the team is shit the bed. Luke Shaw out of all people. Out of all people. Love to see it. Anyways, big up to anyone that's in the building. Let me go through to see who's here. Moyes, big up Cass, if you don't mind, next show on Never a Foul. Can you play the Florian clip again? I mean, I don't know if I saw Goy. I don't even know if I saw Goy. I might have deleted it. We're going to definitely keep it for the first games of the season. Some way club for Amorim will come in November and boom, Champions League, and we're shocked. Great shock by November. Raid laundering, dirty work, Cass. I mean, no one else is going live. You know, just saying. United we're talking about. Yep, absolutely. Big up Mustafa in the building as well. I see Jeremy. Big up, who else is there? Wolves, Sophia. Big up Jarvis as well. I want Vlahovic, Edison, and Boomer, Wesley, Vinicius. Flipping hell, you just want everyone underneath the sun at this rate. We'll see what happens there. But there's just more speculation in it. Just more speculation. Mbumo, anyone? No one fancy talk about that again, surely. Anyone seen a bid? Anyone seen the team talk? Little link as well that I can talk about. I see today as well, with the whole Vlahovic stuff. I mean, United would be absolutely stupid to do a swap deal. I mean, if Vlahovic is going on a free, then there's no point even entertaining a swap deal with Juventus. You know, I saw Douglas Luiz's name again, but obviously that's got to get put in the news because it's an easy, like, you put 1 + 1 together and it makes a story, right? And I do believe United are still interested in Luiz. We spoke about that heavily yesterday. I see Richard Rios, and apparently he's got this 5-year preliminary deal with of personal terms or something with Roma. I mean, it looks like day by day we're losing out on getting this man over the line if we decide that that's who we want, right? So it's kind of like shortening the whole list. Like, you know, when you look at the strikers, we'll talk about Vlahovic and what he could bring and what he won't bring, because there's a lot that he won't bring to the table. You know, it's the same thing with the central midfield department. You know, we spoke heavily last night on Richard Rios and Douglas Luiz being my preferred two. Obviously, Edison's probably the dream target. Not happening, is it? You know, when we can't even haggle over the 5 million Boomer, what do you think is going to happen with Atalanta? They don't budge when it comes to their pricing. So Yeah. It looks like he's heading to Italy at this point. You know, nothing Premier League is concrete, and it's certainly not Man United. So maybe it was just all bullshit. You know, I know Alfredo Padula, whatever his name is, had us heavily linked saying that we're scouting him, etc., etc. I don't even know how credible this man really is. It's like he got one thing right, and he's just and Man United fans, including myself, is probably living off that, thinking that he's actually somewhat credible. So yeah, it's it's another dark day. You know, we've been saying that for the last week or so, 2 weeks, and that's what happens. Cass, what happened to Watkins links? Much rather take him over Vlahovic. Nothing yet. I think with what Fabrizio said in his videos, you know, he does the transfer updates. United's focus is pretty much all surrounding getting this Mbumo deal closed off, and then the next target will be underway. But it's just, who's going to be the next target? Is it going to be the central midfield, or is it going to be the striker? And I think with Jadon Sancho on his way out, allegedly, you know, 25 million, I don't really think United can move on to the striker department as of yet, because, well, we simply haven't moved on enough players to go and fund that. If it is to be Mbumo, but if it's Vlahovic, then it's a free, right? But he's gonna want a hefty signing on fee for whatever his new club's gonna be, and then also, before he had some high wages, so I'm gonna imagine that he's gonna have a high wage demand. Not sure where, but just it can't be United. Vlahovic last 3 seasons, 17, 18, 14. If he's a free, what am I missing? Why is everyone acting like he's useless? I think, you know what, right? I don't think he's completely useless. I think if you've ever watched a Juventus game, you know, no one's disputing his finishing. Like, his finishing's quite decent. It's everything else in his game when I've ever watched him. He's never really a great presence. You know, I think in the Club World Cup, we might have saw him score that goal where they lost. They got battered by Man City. And it's just, I don't see him really doing too well against a physical centre-back. And also, he's very predictable. You know, he's got that explosiveness about him, and he really does play like Rasmus Højlund. You know, he ain't got a touch as bad as him, but when you think of the all-round game that's needed in the Prem, you need to be somewhat agile. If you don't have that quick step about you to go and get, you know, a snapshot off to go get bottom corner, then you're not really going to survive. And if you're not a lump, then you're definitely not going to survive. It's pretty much, for me, if you're the modern number 9, you're either someone that's great at link-up, you're someone that's going to be selfless, run hard, and you've got a bit of agility about you, or you're just a massive lump that's going to cause an issue in the box. I don't think he possesses any of those, you know. And I know we linked with Moise Keane, which is, again, I think is a howler. You know, if United think they can go and get someone for cheap, then that could be an option there. Someone that's a little bit more agile, but he's still trying to find his feet at his age. He's been around the block for quite a while now. So with the whole Vlahovic thing, I don't really want someone that's completely like Højlund in terms of link up, strike, and the ball's fine. It's just everything else that comes along with it. You know, he had his time. I think he'd do well at another club. I just don't think it's going to be a top club in terms of the top 6. I don't see anyone else like Bayern Munich or anyone in for his signature, even being on a free. I can see him being around like the Aston Villas of the world, maybe. You know, maybe it could be like a Bayer Leverkusen type striker, or maybe an Eintracht Frankfurt. Just something along them lines. I just don't feel like United should waste their money in terms of the signing on fees and everything that he's going to demand on him. I mean, it's not a bad option. I would certainly like say, you know what? Overall, I would take him on a free. Of course, on a free. Look, Jonathan David was there on a free, but we didn't strike that. You know, we didn't opt for that kind of, I don't know, that player. And I think he's 10 times better than what Vlahovic can offer. I think Vlahovic is definitely a bit of a better finisher in front of goal. And Juventus have had their kind of issues when it comes to goal creation at times. But I just don't know if he works in a front as a lonesome striker. I think he needs a partner. And same thing with Højlund. Højlund looks like one of those players that need a partner up front with him to help him out because of obviously his deficiencies. Same thing with Vlahovic. You know, he's definitely got some explosive behaviors in terms of when he does turn and he drops the shoulder a bit. Yeah, he's gone. It's difficult to catch him, but he's just not my cup of tea if Watkins is available. I'd rather get 16, 17 of those Premier League goals rather than those 16, 17, you know, Serie A goals. If you convert that into the league, I mean, come on, like you're probably going to get like 8 league goals out of him. I don't think that's the area United should be seeking. But unless he wants to turn into some kind of poacher, then great. But it's just I don't see him linking up with the likes of Cunha that well. Maybe Mbumo, because Mbumo can do a little bit more, but I just don't see him linking up quite well. I think he's going to be a passenger. That's just how I view him. What's this? But Jonathan David scored like 50 goals in the last 2 seasons. And you look at Vlahovic's whole presence, I just don't see him as a goal scoring threat in the Premier League. I think if you told me Vlahovic 2 years ago, I think I'd be like, yeah, I'll buy your hand off. Do you know what I mean? I think he's definitely had something about him. There's a huge regression in his game for me overall. Maybe he needs a new challenge because the things that we were seeing at Fiorentina, the guy looked like he was going to be a well beater, but I just don't see it fitting in. Same with a lot of these other players. Really and truly, Gyökeres, I know they say, but what about Gyökeres? The difference with Gyökeres, one, he's on top of the world at the moment. Let's say if he was available when I did want him, his striking's clean as well. He's got a lot about his game. He's got some decent link up. He's not the best in the world, but he's something a little bit more than Vlahovic. You can kind of say they're kind of similar profiles again, but I think Gyökeres is definitely more of a handful to deal with than the likes of Vlahovic. I think with Juventus, the fact that they've had to go get Kolo Muani's, Moise Keane's as well over the last couple of years to kind of fill in the gaps for Juve, it's just like, well, that kind of tells me Vlahovic is not exactly hit the, he hasn't exactly hit the ground running the way they thought he's going to get 25, 30 goals in the better side. I just don't see how it translates. I would like to think that he would be. I'm just not too optimistic. I think United shouldn't be looking at reviving someone's career of terms of potential or anything along them lines over the last, let's call it the last course of 2-3 years. It's not a bad return, but Serie A, you'd think he's getting Retegui type numbers. And if he's not doing that, then what else? Are you doing a Marcus Thuram kind of role? Are you doing a Lautaro kind of role? Not necessarily. So I'm not invested. I just don't. I'd rather not. I mean, Douglas Luiz, at least he's got Premier League experience behind him where you think, okay, if you're going to go get a player, then you go straight for that one. You didn't have the greatest of years. You had a couple injuries here and there, but it was only a year. It hasn't exactly been 2-3 years. I don't know. I don't know what the positives he would really bring. I mean, in behind in transition, I think Vlahovic would serve United very well. It's just I don't really want to be in that position at the moment. I think it's too risky, even on a free. Unless you're going to tell me Højlund goes and you say, you know what, we're going to get Watkins and we're going to get a Vlahovic. But then it's like, oh, then you kind of got a different striking situation. But it's still underwhelming, isn't it? Big up, Cass. I know you're fuming about Vlahovic. At least he's better than Højlund. I mean, how much better is he than Højlund? If you put Højlund in the Serie A where he bagged 9 Serie A goals or something in in pretty much minimal minutes, I think he might outscore him. I'm not gonna lie. Where he's got more time and space to run at his opponent, that suits Højlund in his game. Even if he's got a baggy touch, he can still shift and make a difference. I just feel like with Vlahovic, with the pressure of the Premier League, it's a different animal. I see him suffering. I really do. I don't really like his composure either. I think his composure could be a lot better. But he is a good poacher. Once he's in the box and he's running front post, he's probably gonna bag it. But I don't see how United want him or entertain it, because his name would have been. I think there would be more of a credible source saying United are looking at him, and I don't believe United are looking at him, and I hope they're not looking at him. Maybe it's a little bit of copium. Maybe it is a little bit of copium. Are any of you actually in favour of getting Vlahovic on a free? That's you know what? That's probably the better question. Who actually wants him? Cass, I see Ruben gone by January, and we get Nagelsmann in the summer. I don't know, man. I think it's too early. Apparently, he can't stay fit plus wages over 300k. Well, he's not going to have 300k wages if he's on a free. He's not going to get that. He's not going to get that anywhere else. Maybe it's another Osimhen situation. I see that someone posted that Osimhen is taking 40 million a year net at Galatasaray. There was no chance that we was ever going to get this guy. So he is all about his money then. Maybe he was always wrong. I thought potentially the whole Osimhen stuff, that he wants to be in Europe and he wants to play for one of the elites, in Premier League or something. But really and truly, he just didn't want to live in Saudi. He wanted to be somewhere in Europe, and he wants to earn that money that way. To me, Osimhen's got no ambition. I'll be real. He's got zero ambition. Galatasaray is comfortable. Fair enough. Act comfortable. You got one career and it's very short. If no one's going to pay it, then someone's going to pay those big wage demands and more, then good for you. He's twerking for us. Reckon 150k if we can't get anyone to him before the window closes. Who you on about? Who you on about there? Tell Amorim he looks well. Laugh at his jokes and he picks you. He just picks his mate. We don't know that yet. I think we've judged the situation. I know, to be fair, because we finished in a certain position. But with Amorim, I feel like it's a little bit overboard. You know what I don't understand with this whole fan base and Amorim, right? He makes comments yesterday about, about the ownership and stuff like that. And he sounds like he's backing them and he's believes in the project. He believes in this. And it's like, well, what do you want him to say? But you have to go moan. And then on the other breath, it's like, it doesn't matter what he does. It's people are so turned off by it. It don't matter if he says something positive. They'll spin it into something where it sounds like it's horrible and it's not the United way and we should get rid. And don't get me wrong, you're entitled to your opinions if you don't like him. I don't mind that. Because I don't blame you lot for wanting him out and don't think he's the guy to bring us to, I don't know, let's call it the promised land, right? But with me, it's United have been lacking identity for years. And it's not just through the manager, it's through the recruitment. And now we finally have some identity of players that we know that we need in the recruitment in terms of the players we're, trying to get. And then all of a sudden now there's a manager who wants an identity as play a certain way and he's a certain type of player. All the United fans now say, no, he's not good enough. Forget this. Don't give him time. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit contradictive of what's happened over the years with Ten Hag and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No style, no philosophy. You bring a manager in, he's got a style, he's got a philosophy. He needs a certain kind of player to, execute probably what he wants to do. Whether it's successful or not is yet to be seen. And it's like, well, we just forget about the squad. Forget that we don't score no goals. Get him the fuck out. Like last time I checked, we were actually all right on the defensive front until we was, conceding mad set pieces. Last time I checked, Anana's a bum. What can you do? What can a manager do about that? Both our keepers are shit. He didn't bring none of them in. He didn't want none of them, I don't guess. Well, we'll see what happens with Anana. And our front consisted of we had a want-away Rashford, period. It don't matter what happened with that situation. Man United clearly want him out because of wages. Anthony was a bit of a weird one. We probably could have made use of it. Does that really even if you included Anthony, does that really bring us from 15th to 10th? No, it don't. He was still shit, but, here we are. When you think of our front three in terms of Garnacho, Xerxes was playing a lot more. He got benched a couple of times. Consistent with Højlund was probably the biggest howler of them all. But in the same breath, was that ever going to get you goals? No matter how you fix it, whether it's Xerxes, Garnacho, and whoever else on the right-hand side, Hobby, Mason, it doesn't screen goals. Goals wins your games. So it was always going to fail. That's why I said I don't think it mattered who or what manager we brought in. We was always going to end up in a shit position. We just didn't see it in time. We were always going to finish below whatever. Because think of it like this. If we done a Ten Hag and he's come in and he's played low block and then he's gone, let's go play counter-attack, low block, you lot still would have moaned. And even if we did that, we're still going to finish not even, what, you're telling me we're better than Fulham? No, probably not. Because our attack is that shit. That's what I'm in belief. This is why I'm not against Amorim at the moment. I need to see a lot more. And I need to see a lot more from INEOS. But if INEOS is a lot more, is bringing in Vlahovic, that's... Come on, man. Yeah, at times he did play a low block, but it was expansive, at least. But the players were... They couldn't even get out there in fucking half. Well, I did see, a lot of times when we had loads of opportunities to go and score the goals, but we missed. Højlund, how many fucking chances did that guy miss? And now we're in a position where you look at the squad that is at hand and nobody fucking wants them. Why? Because all the players that you lot like pretty much are all overrated and they're fucking overpaid and they're dog shit. That's the reality. But no one wants to accept that. We have got the worst attack in... I still stand by it. I think we've got the worst attack in the Premier League. I'd rather have Cameron Archer and Brahim... what's his name? What's his name again? Brereton Diaz. I'd rather have Southampton's attack. I'd rather have that the one that ripped up Euro again, Sulemana. I'd rather have that than what we had up front last year. All of it. All of it. I'm not kidding. But no one's acknowledged that. Next best thing. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Because even if we finish 12th or 11th or 10th, you lot would still be screaming out. So it's not like I'm going to change your mind. I was just in belief that the balance of the squad was that dog shit. The balance of the squad was always going to fail, whoever the manager was going to be. It was always going downhill. Always. Oh, yeah. I'd rather Ipswich attack. I'd rather have Hutchinson. I'd rather have The Lap, who is linked with, by the way. And I'd rather have Smodliks, the ones on the left-hand side. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have that. The only thing that let Ipswich down more time was pretty much their defence. Do you not find it funny The Lap is a permanent backup now? Well, that's on him. He thought he can go to Chelsea and pretty much light the stars up when he's had the prime opportunity to really develop his game at United. And then now he's going to find himself benched by João Pedro. More time than less. Eventually, he will find himself that way. That's what I believe. And you know what? I always said this. I didn't heavily rate The Lap. You know, for me, if we're going to go around this pool of strikers, and let's just talk about the strikers, you know, from what we've been linked with, The Lap, like that was an easy. I reckon we went for him because he's English and he's an easy deal. 30 million. You can't go wrong with that, right? Simple. I think he definitely is going to turn into I think he'll turn into a good striker. You know what? He will turn into a good striker. I still think under Chelsea, he's going to have ample opportunity to do what he needs to do, but maybe he needs a consistent run of games to develop into a top striker, right? He's got Cole Palmer. He's got every situation around him to succeed. He's got his old academy ex-teammates, Maresca, Joe Shields. He's got the perfect platform, right? But for me, with the whole United thing is, well, if you came to us instead and didn't think, oh, I've got Champions League, I'm going to be great, I'm going to be in a squad, I think it's a blessing in disguise. I've always said I like The Lap, but I'll take him, but I don't want him. Missed out on him. I think he's a blessing. In the end, the way I think things are going to develop with Manchester United and the strikers and who we're going to get, even though it might be a little bit too late, I would still take the Watkins at 29 over The Lap all day long. Because I feel like we don't need to develop another striker and in hope that they're going to do well. Just because they got 10 goals and 2 penalties in one season doesn't mean they're going to translate into a better side, into a better player just because they're playing with Cunhas and Boumos. Actually, to be fair, you probably would think that, but United need to always go for players that are pretty much hit their prime or doing it right now because we're in such a fucking awful position, you know. And you know what we're going to get next year? I promise you. Yeah, remember, I'm pro INEOS at the moment, and I'm still pro Amorim. This is what's going to happen. United will go get Mbeumo. Cunha will be there. We'll get whatever striker, whatever situation. The squad will be the squad. You know, United will go and probably, in hindsight, go win 4 or 5 games or some bullshit like that in, I don't know, 8, 7 games. It looks like we're doing really well. You know what's going to be the next excuse? No, it's not the manager. It's individual quality. Just because agendas must agenda, right? That's exactly how you lot are going to respond that don't like the manager at the moment. And again, let me say, I don't blame you lot for not liking him. There's no excuse to really hide behind when someone has performed the way he's performed with the squad, and it persistent with Hoyland is definitely #1 howler. But that's the way I view it. You know, United, we can go beat Arsenal. We could probably do well. We could start the first 5 games really well. We could draw a City, maybe, I don't know, and then go and win against Burnleys and all this shit. No, you didn't do it. It's not tactics. It's not because you made every single player lean before they came in pre-season. It's not because you made them do extra training. It's because of individual qualities was always going to get you through. That's the narratives that piss me off a little bit. And I'm just not going to hear it if that is the case. With you lot, though, you think we're going to fail. So great optimism, isn't it? Could you see a world where Rashford up top if he stays? I think the relationship's over. I'm not going to lie with Rashford. I know he's back in training and you can't really say he's lazy. I think that's an easy narrative to shift to demonize him a bit. He looks like he's definitely wanting something. I think the World Cup's pretty much on his mind. But for me with Rashford, I don't know if it's so much the manager or it's just the whole case of Man United and he wanted to get rid of his wages or maybe there's been other issues. I still think Man United have failed Rashford ultimately, and they've not just failed him, they failed a lot of the young players that have tried to develop because of how shit it's been. Now, you look at Man City, it's a healthy situation with all the young players. You know, not all of them can make it. You got McAtee's available for 25, 30 million, right? That's come out earlier. But he's not exactly mad. He's developed still very well, going Sheffield and whoever else he went to. Do you know what I mean? Healthy situations where we shoehorn a lot of these players and expect too much. To the point we're getting told Garnacho's the next flipping Ronaldo, and you won't be surprised if he's at fucking Real Madrid. That's just bollocks. We can be shameless, but that's actually a serious take. That's actually not even a shameless. That's someone's serious take, and we know who it is, which is obviously dog shit. I like Rashford. I just wish sometimes with the way Amorim played, he scored like 3 goals under him as well before he even left. Funny enough, it's just every time he says he's serious, he's ready to go. He's picked a position that he'd like from the previous season. I do wish in another world it just worked out, and he was the main guy. You know, this is like where he cuts out all the bullshit, cuts out all the noise. United admit their fucking mistakes as well, not just him, and tried to like repair the relationship, because everything that Amorim wants in a striker, in a number 9, you'd think that Rashford will be tailor-made for that position. Considering what we're flipping linked to, we're linked to fucking arse and cheeks at the moment. Like when I'm saying Dominic Calvert, you're trying to tell me Dominic Calvert-Lewin, all these Callum Wilsons and all these fucking old fuckers are better than Rashford? Come on, man. You're telling me that the Lap's better than Rashford? You must be out of your mind. The Lap is nowhere near better than Rashford. What? He's not better than him.
He's not better than him now. Does he have it in him to be better?
Yeah, but I'm not. But think of what United need now. In our current position, nah.
I think the Lap is technically better.
It's technically. But I think Rashford's a better finisher. I think Rashford's a better finisher than him. Yeah, but I think the Lap's another Hoyland, just the English version. Always on the floor, fighting defenders, trying to work out if his situation is going to be good. I just don't think he's all that. Yeah, but
and then go and find clips of Rashford at the academy and compare them.
Rashford was elite.
Go and compare the Lap to Rashford at the academies, and I bet you.
I'm not. No, but Rashford at academy was the reason why he got a fucking start.
Oh,
Rashford at 8. What Rashford was? Yeah, but what Rashford? I don't care what happened at academy level, but what Rashford did when he came through the door at 18, 19, 20, the guy was fucking on top of the world.
But what I'm saying is, if you compare their technical abilities when they're both at the academy, you go, okay, I can see technically might be better.
Yeah, but right now we can't be banking on the Lap's potential. I can't have a potential striker up front. Not for me, man. Even Ekatike. It sounds amazing, but for the price that they're quoting him at, you can fuck off. 80 million? Nah. I'd rather, you know what? I'd rather bring Rashford to the game. Yeah, the turn shirt's done, innit? Rashford's whole time is done, innit? It is, even your pride, like, you look at it as a human being, yeah? Imagine you going back to football. I think everyone's probably played at a decent level, right? Or you just played whatever leagues. Imagine whatever.
No.
Whatever. Imagine going to a team and you found out, obviously, you've been in like disputes with the manager, and all of a sudden, let's say you wear number 8, and you see someone else wearing your number 8. Are you going to look like a dickhead when you're meant to be a top star and you're going, you know what? I'll take number 14 then. Is number 14 available? I'll take number 14. You look like a donut. I don't blame him. Look, it's done, innit? Rashford back, Sancho back, all of this stuff, they're gulagged. And you know what? Rightfully so. He did come out and say he wants a new challenge, but everyone knew that that was the case. That had to be the case. If he wants a new challenge, great, but who's buying him? No one. This crap transfer window is all on Amorim for begging Bruno to stay and will deservedly cost him this job. See, again, where does it say that Amorim begged Bruno to stay? Because last time, this is what I'm talking about with agendas. If you really want to go and back and go look at what it says, obviously Amorim's not going to say, I want you to go as a manager. He wants to keep the better players. That was what's said. He wants to keep the better players if possible. Bruno said, if Manchester United don't want to keep me, then I will reevaluate my position. Manchester United asked him to stay and said, don't worry, we have the money. It's not a problem. So it was Manchester United, not Amorim. Yeah, of course. Because he probably looks at that and says, I don't want... Get rid of Bruno. When you look at INEOS and their competence, at this current stage with the window, would you say that, at this current time, INEOS were competent enough to even replace Bruno? Considering, with Palace, I know Wharton's number 1, Baleba could have been available. We would end up spending, 80 million on another centre mid? Nah, Vlahovic for free, we're definitely getting him. Don't you dare. We're in denial over here. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand that. Why would he say I want to get rid of him? Bruno Fernandes is definitely one of our better players. And if the club says, I'm back, don't worry, the money's there, we'll get all the players that you need, and they've given him that promise, the good days are coming, all of that stuff, then he's going to say, well, of course I want to keep Bruno. Because you're telling me that I can get more with Bruno in the side, then sure. Bruno's he's a model professional at the end of the day around the club. You know, all the young players look up to him. You know, he's got a lot more experience. I'm not his biggest fan, don't get me wrong, but I can understand if INEOS have promised, then you got to deliver on that promise. No one can say they trust INEOS with more money. Exactly. At the moment, even I can't say that. I just don't know, because in Bumo negotiations, it's taken so long, and we don't know what else is going to be, who else is going to be the next target. So we're going to have to wait and see. But if they get Vlahovic on a free, I might have to write it myself. Because that doesn't scream, I've got money and don't worry, trust the process, as Arsenal fans would say, or let alone, you know, trust the vision. You know what we are? We're Chuckle Vision. Anyone remember that program? That's what Chuckle Vision. That's what we are. Jordan Henson on the free. I don't know, man. Cass, don't you think we should keep one of R9? Who the hell is R9? You talk about Rasmus Højlund, you absolute fool. No, I think we should get rid of both of them. Cass, do you want Delo sold? Yes, absolutely. If someone's in for him for about 40 million, then amazing, but I just don't see that being the case. You know what, one thing though, you have to rate for now is I do think that there is a vision through United nutrition, all this new stuff that's happening. You know, you look at all the players that have come in for pre-season or checked in for pre-season, they all look trim. You know, I think Amorim's definitely demanded something within, you know, the way United have done things in the past. You see a lot of players bulk up. Kobe Mayanu, Garnacho put on quite a bit of size as well. Pause. Xerxes was quite heavy when he came through the door, and you think he had a bit of a pre-season as well. It's just he had an injury too, but you'd think he, you know, United would be on his case a little bit more. I remember Troy Deeney in that interview thing that he was doing with what's his name, Akinfenwa, talking about how much he cut before he got into the Premier League and how much it helped. You look at even Lenny Yoro, all these players that have come through, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount looks a lot more trim and lean. I think United are finally getting to grips with this whole fitness stuff as well, where Amorim tried to put the fitness on them quite early. You know, we saw all the drills, we see that what they had to do, but that was just bog standard shit. But I reckon he's had a demand with a lot of these with Man United to get them fit and ready, because how many times have we seen in a game where United either ask for the first 20 minutes and then they have a period and then they fall off again? You know, you see all these other top sides, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, wherever. They're all good for a long majority of the game, a big majority. We press for like 20 minutes. We look solid for about 20, 25 minutes, sometimes 30 on a good day. And there's not a lot of good days last season, is there? And we tire the fuck out. We get really tired. You know, all these players that are trying to shift all that body weight as well. You know, you look at Kobe Mayanu. He looked like he had a bit too much muscle mass on him, and he couldn't get around the pitch as quick as he could or as agile as he could. You know, more weight means more injuries. We had a lot of injuries. So I do reckon United's had a shift. I know the medical department's all been sorted out. There was that 1-year contract for the Arsenal doctor to come in and do what he needs to do. We sacked quite a few physios. We brought in quite a few new physios. Carrington's getting upgraded as we speak. You know, there's a lot of that. So I kind of expect United to be on game next year, because Amorim kind of comes across as that manager that has a lot of demands and expects, you know, top level stuff at a top club. I'm kind of tired every time we go into games and we look decent for 20 minutes. How about we look decent for 60 minutes? This pre-season is so important to us, probably more than another team, because of how bad we were. There's a lot of pressure. And all these players have got to, you know, they've got to work out if this is their future or not. And United's got to work out if they're good enough. You know, Mason Mount, it's not good enough. You being injured for 2 years, it's not your fault maybe, but you could see that Mason Mount had a bulk up. Compared to, if you go look at, I'll see some photos earlier. 2021 mini Mason Mount, trim, lean, difficult to even get towards. You know, when Mason Mount was young, he looked class under Chelsea. I thought that guy's the one. He's going to be the one. And then it's just this thing when you get older, it's like, what's the need to upgrade yourselves like that? You know, you look at Di Maria. Di Maria said, I never hit gym once, because, you know, if you go look at his whole interviews and stuff, if he put on muscle when they were requesting him to, he would slow him down. That's why he's probably been going for so many years, keep it injury free. A lot of muscle just means a lot more weight going down towards your ankles, your hamstrings, how much you're going to manage that. You know, is this your natural, even your natural body size? So getting football fit is a whole different ball game. So yeah, I'm expecting big things. And you know what? You can't really see it or view it from photos, videos, all that bullshit. But I expect a lot. I expect a whole different Man United. And then I want to really have a little gander how it's performed against Arsenal first game of the season. I know a lot of us have written off this Arsenal game, but I expect a lot. Where they've got probably a few new players, we're going to have a few new players. Hopefully, inshallah, anyways, at that. So I'm kind of expecting to go out there. It don't matter what team Arsenal's got and what team we've got. They always have a difficult game at Old Trafford. I'm actually going to take there and I'm thinking a draw's not good enough. You need to go out there and demand that win. Because if you get that win, that sets the tone for the season. If you lose, this fan base is going to go into utter shit. The only game I ever watch, right, lose when it comes to Man United, I've seen United lose twice in person. And I went to numerous games. And it was at the start of the flipping season. The last one was, who was it again? Who did we lose to? Not the Wolves one. I remember losing to Brighton. That was awful. And I think the following one was Crystal Palace. Or that might have been the one before. Nah, never again. Never again. Yeah, but look, it's just stupid. I don't know how you can't feel. I know you can't really feel optimistic about United at the moment, but there's got to be some optimism. Because if we do turn things around, what's your name? David King. I'm gonna have to write David Kind. You're gonna look a prat, innit? Like, so it's all right to change your mind, but you know, when things get good and everyone's changed their mind, it's just like you're just a flip-flop. And I don't mind flip-flops because I'm a flip-flop at times. But I feel like jumping the gun too soon it's not for me. It's not for me anyways. My biggest issue is actually it's not going to be the goal scoring part. It's going to be the Nana part. I need a new goalie. I need a new goalie, man. Who's live? How many likes have we got? We've got 87 likes. That's dog shit. That's super dog shit. How about that? Not good enough. Please smash the likes as well. I think Big Six Bants is going live now. So we're going to end the stream and we're going to go over there. Hopefully we get some positive news later. I've got the Ibumo thumbnail ready, just like the here we go stuff. I just want to get gassed. I just want to get gassed, man. Anyways, Cass rate it up and